Welcome and welcome back. We're here for another review of The Mandalorian. This episode was The Gunslinger, and as would be the case with an episode called The Gunslinger, it opens up with a dogfight slash a firefight. One thing I've really got to compliment this series on is its ability to take the title of an episode and make it worth something. We don't get this in television. In television, we do not necessarily get the title of an episode of a television series. The Simpsons have titles, but they do not tell you the titles of their episodes. It's either Seinfeld or Friends that has the one with whatever it is. But you don't see that when you're seeing the episode on television. Here we get the introduction to the episode by selecting it on Disney Plus. We have to select it. We don't just turn it on and it's playing. So we are exposed to the title of the episode. So The Gunslinger, we open up, guns a-blazing. It is interesting that we are able to do that. Now, gunslinger is an old-fashioned term for the Wild Wild West, right? So another thing that we have coming to us from cowboy movies from the Wild Wild West were the Tusken Raiders. Did you catch it? The Mandalorian tells Toro when Toro says that the Tusken Raiders are in the way or whatever he was saying. The Mandalorian says that they're the locals. Everyone else, to them, everyone else are trespassers. This is clearly a stand-in for the old Western trope of the wise cowboy who's down with the Apache or knows the ways of whatever tribe that happens to inhabit the area, and he is able to negotiate with them. It happens time and again in old Westerns. But it was interesting to see the Tusken Raiders fill in for that in this episode. And we get a lot of things sort of nicked from old Western tropes throughout this series, which is how you know that this is Space Cowboys. This is a retelling of the Western in the Star Wars universe. Another thing which I guarantee you happened at some point in a Western is the best bit of storytelling from this episode as well. I keep coming back to this great storytelling because it's something that we don't get often enough, I think, especially in series type drama. And one thing that is easy to overlook as great storytelling is great storytelling as it pertains to characterization. A character being a character and authentically that character, something that character would do, gets overlooked as storytelling because it seems to be characterization. Well, these characters are fake people. So characterization itself is an example of good storytelling. This comes up when Ming-Na Wen's character, there's the dewback that is dragging around a body, and the Mandalorian goes to check it and gets shot at by Ming-Na Wen's character. Now, the thing that we have to credit in this moment is not that, oh, well, there's just a dewback that happens to be carrying a dead body, and Ming-Na Wen's character happened to see the Mandalorian and Doro, I think it was Toro, as they approached. No. Ming-Na Wen's character, with a sniper rifle, set that individual to be dragged from the dewback as bait. Ming-Na Wen's character baited them into the open to get a clean shot. That is, you have to credit it as that. What are the odds that Ming-Na Wen's character happened to have been observing the very same dewback that did the Mandalorian from a greater distance and happened to have a sniper rifle? No, she knew that there was a Mandalorian after her, and she knew that the Mandalorian had backup, and she knew this other fellow was after her, so she disposed to him, who happened to be on a dewback. So yeah, it is interesting that that little bit of storytelling gets passed on in that way. And while we're speaking of Toro, do we trust him? Or did he know exactly how dangerous was the job, so he decided to use a sob story of trying to get into the guild while acquisitioning essentially what he thought was going to be a body to help him to take fire. Um, Not helping my argument on this that maybe the guy knew better than what he was letting on is the fact that whoever it was that played him was either really good at playing someone who didn't know what they were doing or just a pretty bad actor. And it seems that he was probably just pretty bad at acting. So that was interesting to see. But the thing that really stands out about this episode, we're right around the midway point in the series, right? And right around the midway point in the series, or right around the midway point of a book, right around the midway point of a movie, right around the midway point of a short story, a poem, any of this type of literature, long series story or long form storytelling, you get so this would be right around where you would find the point of the first season. Ming-Na Wen's character says, "You want to be a bounty hunter? Make the best deal for yourself and survive." I do not think that it is a coincidence that we get this phrase passed this clearly in this episode. Surely there are many other times throughout this season so far that actions such as this have been taken. In fact, there was that episode where all of the fobs went off and it turned out every bounty hunter on the planet was after the Mandalorian. They were all making a decision that was best for them. Baby Yoda be damned. Their old friend the Mandalorian be damned. I'm going to get this money. But it is in this episode that we have the phrase so clearly put out there. Why do we have the phrase so clearly put out there? Because it is the point of this season that the Mandalorian will not be doing what is best for himself as a bounty hunter and surviving. Instead, the Mandalorian himself will be moving on from that type of thought process. That is what he did when he decided to break from the guild and repossess Baby Yoda. And the one final thing that I have to talk about with this episode is just something really cool. We had a little bit of the stormtroopers being reinvigorated with some edginess in previous episodes. When the Mandalorian visits Werner Herzog in his office, those guys in that dirty stormtrooper paraphernalia, they really seem on edge. And they really seem like, you know what, just say something wrong, I dare you. I'll go ahead and shoot you. I don't care. What is he going to do, fire me? You know, they really seemed more edgy than we have really seen stormtroopers in a while. And in this episode, we have stormtrooper helmets on a pike. Maybe stormtrooper heads on a pike. We don't know. But it is interesting. The vestiges of the Empire and the desecration that the individuals who suffered under the Empire are willing to put emblems of the Empire through really tells you a lot about this planet. The planet that you're on is I don't remember what planet it is. That's sacrilege, I'm sure, in the Star Wars universe. But I know it's one of the planets that was in the original trilogy, I think. But on that planet, at some point, they rebelled against a group of stormtroopers and either obviously killed them. I mean, obviously probably killed them. But maybe even went so far as to put their heads on pikes. Which, yeah, that is... I didn't think I would see that in a Disney series, for sure. But that is all I have for this episode. I hope to see you back maybe tomorrow with the next episode in the series as we gear up to be watching the new episodes, the new series, as they drop.